In 1776, all of our founding fathers agreed. We find these truths to be self-evident. The United States of America, the shining city on a hill, was established on self-evident truths. In a recent survey, 2/3 of Americans believe there is no absolute truth. Among young adults, the percentage is even higher. Almost 3/4 of young people, 18 to 25, do not believe absolute truth exists. Today, the majority of Americans agree with philosophers like Friedrich Nietzsche that truth is not something that might be found or discovered, but something that must be created. Truth has stumbled in the streets. But when he stood before Pontius Pilate, Jesus said, "For this reason I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth." Like many Americans today, Pilate asked, "What is truth?" Jesus told us, "If you continue in my teaching, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." This is the hope for our nation, the land of the free. Truth must be proclaimed in word and deed.
Welcome. Welcome. If you're new here, it will get better. Bill's going to come up in a minute. But I'm Nick, and I'm here to welcome you and just tell you a little bit about what we got going on. We're going to be talking about truth, and I don't know if some of you guys caught the video. You know, our culture is kind of rejects a hard truth, which is kind of counter to Christianity. So we're going to have so much fun kind of tackling the message today. Jesus is truth. So I'm kind of excited. But first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we got going on. We're doing another Mission Ridgecrest coming up soon in February 22nd. So that's where we go out and we just do things for people because we love people. We love each other. It's really cool. And oftentimes it's strangers we're doing things for. So if you know of somebody who needs something done that we could do for them, let us know. We're in the back. There's a little funny little booth by the stairs. If you go back there and let them know, like, oh, I know this person. They could use this or that or that, or I need this or that. Sign up a project back there. And if you want to volunteer for it, you can volunteer February 22nd, I think. It's here. Yeah, February 22nd. Now, if you want to get involved, but you don't want to get dirty or do any work like that, we have another kind of fun event coming up. It's like a kind of a fun run, fun walk, whatever. We've got a course, not really a course, it's more of a region where we're going to hide a bunch of rocks that are painted, and then you're gonna have 2 or 3 hours to go along this course, whether you're walking, riding, biking, taking your kids, or swimming. I don't know how you're going to swim. I don't know why I said that. You're on the street. But however you want to do it, you go search for these rocks and you bring them in for a prize. It's not $100 per rock. I got in a lot of trouble for that last night for saying that. So you won't get $100 per rock, but you will come in, bring it, get it to spin a wheel for a prize, and it'll be a lot of fun. It's a really neat thing to do, just to get out, get some exercise, hang out with people. I bet it'll be a lot of fun. And it'll probably be everybody's a little wacky, so it's always entertaining. We do a lot of this, telling you guys what's going on and encouraging you to get involved, and that's because we're a body of Christ, and it's really fun and neat to fit into what God's got organized and planned for His church, for us. So we definitely want to encourage anybody to get involved. For me, I never really got it until I got involved. I'm like, oh, I should have done this a long time ago. So anyways, all that wackiness to encourage you, tell you about everything we got going on, and now let's pray. Heavenly, perfect, everlasting, awesome Father, thank you so much that we have things that we can stand on, things from you, things that are actually true, and that there is a difference, and we can know, we can hang our hats, we can hang our lives on real solid truth. Thank you that we get to be here today to learn about it and then to go out and live our lives based on what is true, really true. Thank you. Amen. So, what is truth? It's a really easy question to ask. And it's an easy question to think you know, but then try to answer it and start jumbling that around in your head. I'm not going to answer it, but we will watch a few other people stumble with that over that question before we start doing it. So watch with me if you don't mind. Thank you.
What is truth?
Truth is
just when.
I don't know.
That's a really hard question. What is truth?
Truth is really
hard to define because
A lot of different people have
Different.
set of beliefs.
Present moment is truth, I think.
What is truth?
Truth will set you free.
I truly believe there's a difference between fact and truth.
Truth is very hard to give a definition to, I think.
Truth is what kind of guides you.
The lack of guilt is truth.
Truth, I like to think of as, imagine a cathedral of the world, and there are windows, lots of windows in this cathedral, and truth, with a capital T, shines through the windows.
Someone asks you something, you just have to tell them the truth. People expect people to tell the truth.
I think truth is a belief system. Fact is concrete, like there's a brown table here. But if you want to believe it's blue, then that's your truth, that's your reality.
truth is what really happened.
Truth is honesty, is truth.
Everybody sees things in different ways, so one person's memory can be different from another person's memory of what happened.
There are people out there who say there is no truth. You can just create your own truth.
I define truth as the way the Bible has given us instruction to live.
And then we, humans, are inside, and we're looking at this truth shining through all these windows. We're seeing the refraction, the reflection, we're looking at it out of our own eyes and heart, and we understand it in a way that makes sense for us.
In a philosophical sense or a factual sense. If you talk in philosophy, different people with different value systems may have different what they see as truth. If you look at truth as fact, then you have historical facts you can verify, you have scientific facts.
So therefore, I might interpret truth through the lens of Christianity. I might interpret truth through the lens of science.
I tend toward more of the empirical truth of facts.
Something is true when it's untainted.
You're talking on the materialistic level. Truth is 2 and 2.
2 is 4. There's no way around it.
If you're talking on the spiritual level, which is a much higher realm, you're talking about the Holy Spirit dwelling within you.
All religions believe that what they believe is the law of the universe.
I have a bit of the truth, you have a bit of the truth, each of us does.
Truth is always with us.
Truth is just believing in somebody or not.
There has to be a fixed truth, in my opinion, for the universe to function properly.
What
is
Truth.
It's relative.
Ravi Zacharias is probably one of the greatest apologists in the world today. Os Guinness, a great author. R.C. Sproul, one of the great theologians of our time. We'll let them answer the question.
The single most important question any human being can ask is the question, what is truth?
One of the most basic questions of all is the question, what is truth? And there have been battles over the answer to that throughout the ages.
Of all the issues today, you could boil them down to half a dozen, but unquestionably, truth would be major.
So to answer the question, what is truth, I would say it is this. Truth is that which affirms propositionally the nature of reality as it is.
Truth is defined as that which corresponds to reality as perceived by God, because God's perception of reality is never distorted. It's a perfect perception of reality.
So when Pilate looked at Jesus, he says, what is truth, and walks away. Pilate walked away from the greatest authority on the greatest question and committed the greatest crime at that time.
Truth. We're talking about truth today, and I love the question, what's our truth? what defines our truth. We're going to spend actually probably a lot more time than you want to listening to me trying to explain what truth is. Today is before we get done, I hope we have at least a clearer picture of what we think truth is. The video that we just watched came from a series that was put out by Focus on the Family almost 15 years ago called The Truth Project. And the purpose of it was they looked at the culture and they saw that like the statistics on the first one, 75% of young people say there are no absolute truths. Everything is relative, everything is personal. So, and this was 15 years ago, and those statistics have gotten nothing but worse as time has gone by. All absolute truth, all truth that lines up with reality is no longer with us. So the Truth Project was an attempt to stop the nation and to draw followers of Christ, but really all people, back into the knowledge of what is real truth. And so today that's our goal. And we put this up because we're in a series where Jesus made the most profound, provocative, in-your-face statement to his disciples. This was the night before Jesus was crucified. He had gathered his band of disciples around, and he was giving them kind of last instructions at the Last Supper. First thing he did as people came in, he got up and washed all their feet to give them an example of being a servant. And then as the evening goes on, he delivers his statement to his disciples and, oh, by the way, to each of us. Because Christ, really, his message is for all times, all people, in all places. So his message to his disciples and us, he said, I'm the way, not a way, the way. I am the truth, not a truth, not multiple choice. I'm the truth, and I'm the life. And here it goes. And no one comes to the Father except through me. Bold, clear, dark statements written boldly across history in his word. And he goes on, this comes out of the Old Testament, the essence of your words, this is God's words, is truth. Everything you say, God, is true. And they're all your just regulations. They stand forever. They stand forever. It's pure, absolute truth for all people, all places, at all times. It never changes. Since the beginning of time, truth has been there, God's truth. And so, what is truth? I put the one definition, comes out of the dictionary, the body of real things, events, facts, property of being in accord with the reality. Ravi Zacharias, one of the greatest speakers. I just listened today. I was on my exercise bike this week and listened to one of his, kind of podcast deals on YouTube, the source of all wisdom and knowledge. But he says, truth is that which affirms propositioning. There's presented that which, what reality really is. Truth defines reality. So each of us we have truth. So our truth defines the reality that we live in. This train, I love this train, is something that we've used actually over the years in a way to explain how a rational person should live their life. God created us in his image. We're rational beings. We can, as Kyle, a 13-year-old on that video, who's a whale of a lot smarter than I am with the stuff that he was talking about, talks about absolute truth. And he says there has to be a fixed thing. And that's what we talk about in this train. You and I build our lives on what we say are facts. There's certain things that we believe are true, that are certain. And so we look at them and we have evidence for that. We may have gone to school and found out that this 2 + 2 is 4. We may have had an experience in the past where we had certain results and we go, well, that's true. Don't do that or do that. We've got facts, information. We could be, reading history, archaeology, anything. Facts are built up inside of our life. And we look at them and they're the engine. And we look at them and we have faith in them. Now, faith is the assurance that those things are true. This is solid. This we count on. So we have facts that we have faith in. Now, because we're rational people, giving giving myself credit to be rational. If I know something's true and I know there are consequences, I will choose to follow the truth. If this is a true path, a true formula, a true whatever, I'll commit myself to that. I will follow it. And then at the end of the train, if I've got my facts together, all the evidence, I have faith in it, it determines the course of my life. And oh, by the way, it determines the course of your life. What you say is true, what you say are facts, what you have faith in, a rational person will follow it. If you choose not to follow it, it's got a word. It's called insanity. It's irrational to do that. So if you're following it, and then ultimately I have the ability, and so do you, to look at facts, have faith, follow it, then to go back and say, that was the right thing to do. The feelings that come with it are affirming, encouraging, and that doesn't mean that there might not be bad results, but you acted in accordance with the facts and truth. So this is really the main structure that we're going to be working with as we go forward today. You know, we are created by God to be rational beings inside of our lives. So we're going forward with the statement when Jesus said, I'm the truth. We started several weeks ago. It's a 7-week series. The first week, we said, Jesus is alive. We looked at objective evidence, facts, proof that tomb was empty. As a matter of fact, several videos were shown that where people went out to disprove the resurrection of Christ, and they became Christians because the evidence is overwhelming, not only to his immediate disciples, but to hundreds of people that saw him alive after they saw him die on a cross. So the first week, evidence, proof, Christ is alive. The next week, Christ is real. Nick got up and gave us evidence and had people come in and have testimonies. And here's how we know that here's the evidence, the truth. The Bible is true. Jesus is who he said he was. God exists. God's the creator. It's real. Then last week we talked about Jesus being the way, not a way, the way. And we talked about that and we talked about what that looks like, some of the challenges that take place in there. We said that he's the hodos. That's the Greek word for, I looked these things up. I don't have any idea what I'm talking about. But the Greek word is hodos for way, a course of conduct, a way of thinking, a manner, a way of feeling and deciding. Jesus is the way that we should live, that we should decide, that we should process truth. So that's where we are today. We're talking about truth, the next one of Jesus' statements. But I want to go 2020. We're into that. And so that year, the video was true. We're in an age where truth is challenged from all directions. We live in the information age. Truth claims come at us from every direction that we can see. It's like drinking water out of a fire hose just to turn your computer on or to turn your TV on. Watch the news this week on the impeachment. What we've been watching are truth claims. This side, this is true. This is true. This is true. Back and forth. And then the talking heads come in and say, well, this is what's really true because I'm cool. I got a talking head. We're hearing truth claims from both sides. This conflicting ideas and claims. This can't be true. Someone is not telling the truth. We also watch truth claims. Every commercial is a truth claim. Yeah, if you take this pill, you can do this. You can jump over a mountain. You can be so handsome and wonderful if you have this, and you can be so cool. Those are truth claims. By the way, robocalls are truth claims too. The IRS is after you. You better send me your information. Robocalls, claims to truth, all of it. Economic news, all of these things, truth claims. Well, what's the truth? The truth is that which lines up with reality. And we look at this today in 2020, we are in trouble. Jesus says if we know the truth, we follow the truth, remain faithful to it, the truth will set us free. Truth has got the ability to loose us from the lies of this world. But we said this last week, in the statistics that were in the first video, said that you can only enter God's kingdom through a very narrow gate. Truth in 2020 is hard to find. Very few people in our culture are following the truth that Jesus Christ put forward. The way is broad. The gate is wide for those who choose the wide way. So we're told that truth is, very few people are really seeking truth. Now, that's a good general statement for the world when you watch TV or different sources. But here's the thing that challenges me most, because it's the world I live in. It's where I think is the most important part of the world, is the church. The church is Jesus Christ's body here on earth, making a difference for him, helping people, serving people, telling other people about the truth of Christ. But we were warned that a time is coming when people will no longer listen to sound and wholesome teachings. They'll follow their own desires, and they'll look for teachers who will tell them whatever they want to hear. They'll reject the truth and chase after myths. Today, as we look at the Christian landscape and the collection of churches and teachers and doctrine that you can listen to from a multitude of sources, most people are deceived that attend church. And of course, one of my challenges today for each of us sitting in Crossroads is to be challenged. Survey of people who attend church regularly, consider themselves Christians, only 10% have a biblical worldview. Only 10% will say that the Bible is true. That's my facts, and I'm going to follow it. I have faith in that. And then moral absolute exists, 16%, and that number continues to go down every year. What does that mean? Well, to me, it's a challenge, and I'm going to use Crossroads as an example. And please join me on this, because this is huge. This weekend, around 400 people plus are going to attend Crossroads. They're going to come in, sit here. They're going to be here. They're going to put the kids upstairs, but you're going to sit here. So if these statistics are correct, 400 people are going to come. Only 40 people will understand the truth. 360 will reject the truth that is presented in Scripture. Not so my words, but in the Scripture. That's scary. Now, I know Crossroads is way cool. And I'd like to say you guys are 100%, except for the one person I know I'm talking to. Just kidding. But also, moral absolute truth, that's 16%. So only 64 people out of 400 believe in absolute truth. If you don't believe it's absolute truth, you're not going to follow it. I'm not saying that to a turn and burn message or anything. I'm just saying, let's look at what our truth is. What do we consider truth as we go forward today? These statistics are challenging to us in real terms, in real life. As a parent, I want my kids to know the truth. As a grandfather, I want my grandkids to know the truth. I want people that I love and care about to know the truth. I want every person to know the truth. And I want to build my life on the truth. And I think everyone does. So today we're going to be discerning truth as we go forward. That's the purpose of this series and specifically this message. But what happened? What could replace truth that we could follow? It sounds so simplistic, but the rest of this message is going to focus on one thing. We stopped following facts, and we started following our feelings. What feels like truth? What takes place? If you look at the train that's up for the modern train is this: the feelings pull the train. We follow. We have faith in those things, and we follow our feelings. Facts are over in a ditch somewhere. We disregard them because they're hard, they're cruel, and we didn't think them up. So we follow our feelings. Survey after survey talks about this is the way people make their decisions. If it feels good, we should do it. If it looks right, or the commentator on TV presents it in such a way that it sounds appealing, we should believe them. Our feelings in our nation have become our facts. We follow those emotions that are inside of us. You know, we sometimes have trouble coming up with, when challenged, why do we believe that? A friend of mine told a family story of hers, that she's got, I think it's her brother that's got teenage kids, and he put $100 in his wallet because these kids were coming in with all sorts of wild ideas. This is true. They'll make truth claims. Why? Listen to this, and this is that. And Ozzy Osbourne says, you know, the real authorities point out what's true. And so the dad had something that I'd like to challenge us to. He tells his kids, I got $100 in my pocket. Anytime you make some statement, some truth claim about what's true in the world and this, that, and everything else, if you can give me 3 facts that back up your statement and claim to truth, I'll give you the $100. He still has the $100. But isn't that a wonderful way to teach your kids? And so I want to make the challenge to you. If you have an idea or an opinion and you can come up with 3 facts, Nick will give you $100. That just made my day. You know that? You know, he's talking about last night. He said you're going to get $100 on this rock deal. So anyway, the challenge is to base our lives on the truth, on facts, and live by them. How did we get into a situation that the truth is now based on feelings? I'm going to take us on a quick run, very quick, I hope, through history, and talk about the various sources of truth that the world and people have relied on throughout history. First off, for about the first 5,000 years of recorded history, all cultures, all people, all nations look to God for truth. All the 32 known cultures studied and looked at believe that God revealed himself, his nature, and his power through divine revelation. Now, we know in the Bible that's what God says he does. The heavens proclaim the glory of God. We look at the sky, we look at everything that's up there, and we know that we're not big. There's something bigger than us going on in this world. And then also he shows us in his creation. I point this out every time someone has a baby. It reminds me, I see a baby. That's a miracle. You can't look at that little sucking, crying, pooping, making little machine. Probably didn't need the descriptors, but that's a miracle. Billions of parts line up in one cell to make it work. And there's trillions of cells that go with so many systems. I could go on and on about the proof that God shows of his creation. And he does something else to us. And this is strangest. God says he plants eternity in our hearts. What that means is somewhere buried in the human being is a knowledge that there's something bigger than him. There's a God gene that points to something bigger than us. I had no trouble believing in God when I was young. Most kids don't. Their prayers are powerful and honest as they stand before God. They have this belief structure. And Jesus says if you want to enter the kingdom of God, you got to enter like a child with that inner belief and faith that's inside there. But God gives it to us. So it comes down revealed. And 32 known cultures, they have this belief in all that they do. And so another way God reveals himself is through our conscience. Everyone here has a conscience. I had 5 donut holes before church. I'm pushing my conscience down, but now that I've confessed it, I feel much better about it. Conscience. Well, no, I shouldn't. Is that what someone said? But our conscience, con with, I love this term. The word actually means con with science, knowledge. I have the knowledge of right and wrong in me. Even when I was running and gunning and doing stupid, foolish things and tried to push down those feelings of right and wrong, they were still there. I think we all have that experience. We know what's right. We know what's wrong as time goes by. It's our conscience. God puts this moral compass inside of us. So even Gentiles, or those who don't have a written law, demonstrate that it's written on their heart. Universal ethics and morals are defined. And the interesting thing about this is this across all cultures. This divine revelation and our conscience line out the same truths. This is right. This is wrong. So God reveals, gives us a conscience. And also, divine truth is revealed and recorded. We write out in sacred writings what God tells us. In Christianity, we're told that the Scripture, the Bible, is inspired by God. It teaches us what's true, nice to know, and it shows us what's wrong in our lives. Corrects us when we're wrong. Truth. The Bible claims to be absolute truth. And I encourage everyone to do this. As a church, we have available to you, if you haven't picked one up, is a little pamphlet in the back, which gives evidence to the supernatural nature of the Bible. There's fulfilled prophecy. There's consistency of 66 books written by 40 authors over 1,500 years, 3 languages, 3 continents, on the most controversial subjects ever written, and they're in accord and agreement with each other without conflict. You know, the Democrats and the Republicans can't get their national platform together without contradiction. The Bible on this one area covers everything, and it's there. But we look throughout this area, we see that it's God, it's absolute truth, breathed by Him. But we're not the only ones. There's sacred writings of the Hindus have the Vedas, Muslims have the Quran given by Muhammad, Book of Mormon by Joseph Smith. I'm not saying these are true, by the way, so don't run out and buy them. The Dharma of Buddha, the writings of avatars, teachers, sages, and spiritually sensitive people are recorded. Are they true? No, I'm not saying they're true. I'm just saying that people write down these inspired writings that are there. We have to evaluate whether they're true or not, because they all claim they're true. We have to look at the evidence to see if they are. Christianity, proves itself, but our country was founded on divine revealed truth. Our Declaration of Independence starts out pointing toward God. And it turns out, he said, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator. This truth came down from above. It was revealed by God to us to show that all men are created equal and should have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's from God. Brewer, Supreme Court, that's actually 1884, sorry. Don't I wish it was 1984. He says, our laws, our institutions must necessarily be based upon and embody the teaching of the Redeemer of mankind. It's impossible it should be otherwise. Our civilization and institutions are emphatically Christian. Revealed truth from God created our nation. And finally, George Washington, it's the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence, the control of Almighty God, and be grateful for His benefits. This is divine truth, sent to us as a country. Hugely important. And now, what we need to know is this is divine truth. It's our conscience. It comes down. It's written in everyone's heart. But at the same time, this divine truth, we're held accountable for it. It's just like when everyone tries to tell the officer, I didn't know it was a no passing zone. Those little yellow cones were in my way, but I passed. Speaking of 395. But we're held accountable. Jesus puts a choice in front of every person in every nation, in every place, to respond to the truth that he's revealed to us. At one point, he gathers the people together, and he's gathered us together, and he offers each person a simple choice. Today, I'm giving you a choice between life and death. Gives each of us a choice between life and death, between prosperity and disaster. He commands us to love God and to keep his commandments and decrees and regulations by walking in them, by following, obeying, and doing them. If we do that, if we take God's revealed truth that he puts in front of us and we follow it, his blessings will follow. If we choose not to, we're choosing curses. I look back at the history of our country. Deuteronomy 28, if you have time to look, describes the blessings of a nation that follows God. The United States of America had every one of those blessings. Oh, please go look. And then starting somewhere in the 1950s, 1960s, you'll start to see as we turn from God, you'll see all those curses show up that are in there. That's true for nations, but it's true for each person here. And so what happened? We had divine revelation. God gave us a choice. 5,000 years, the world basically turned to God for truth. Now, it changed. So we call it the Enlightenment, somewhere between 16 and 1800, where people started to reject God and started looking to man as a source of truth. We became humanist. We saw that, well, maybe truth is with us. And so the first rule of humanism is that if you want to reject God's truth, you have to say he doesn't exist. So atheistic humanism started to sweep Western culture specifically that we live in. And we started to deny the existence of God. We said man can figure it out. We can use the scientific method, but we're going to have to deny God's existence and then put all of his laws aside, and then we'll find truth ourselves. We'll search for truth. We'll find it. Truth is us. It's inside of us. The bottom one, they traded the truth of God for a lie. They worshiped and served the things God created instead of the Creator. We started to worship ourselves. We started to worship things that were created here on earth. We rejected God's truth. And so, man's wisdom becomes the source of truth. Philosophers started to come and spin their web around us and started talking about what they thought truth was. And we're warned, don't let anyone capture you by empty philosophies. But if you take just a minute and start looking at what this group of atheists have brought about in our country specifically, it's changed the way we do business. They've emerged, they've denied the existence of God, and now they define truth. Let's look at a few of them. Philosophers like René Descartes, Friedrich Nietzsche, other philosophers started to deny the existence of God, started to put other ideas forward. Now, they also are recorded in the sacred writings of humanism. Some of the people, John Dewey, Charles Darwin, Sigmund Freud, Abraham Maslow, Margaret Sanger, Carl Rogers, all of these are seen as sources of truth that we literally have built, for example, our educational system on. There was one other person that brought truth to our country. His name was Dr. Benjamin Spock. Many of you may not even know the name. Dr. Benjamin Spock in the 50s wrote a book about parenting. And his teaching was, don't ever discipline your kids. If you just let them do what they want and explore freedom and to do what they think is right, then they'll grow up without any problems. If you put their diaties on too tight, you're going to whack them out. Let them do what they want. 100 million books were sold. 50 years, at least 3 generations were raised, many people here, were raised under the idea that just find your own way. Find your own truth. The chaos that fell out of that is part of what we're following today. These are empty philosophies. And sadly, since 1960, it's been taught in our school system as the reigning philosophy of the day. Because you had to take God out, you had to take God's commandments out, you had to take all of those things out, you had to take Jesus out in prayer so that false philosophies could come in. But what was the end result? We went from God's truth to scientific truth. In fact, even though they existed or ruled God out, so now we went from God to mankind. Now we look inside for truth. What do you feel? Do you feel truth on the inside? Again, the train goes, we follow our feelings. Facts are put off to the side. The verse says that in those days there was no king, there was no absolute, there was no certainty. So everyone did what seemed right in their own eyes. We just do what's right. If we feel that it's right, it's right. I have my truth in modern day, and you can't tell me I'm wrong. But you've got your truth because you feel that it's true. I can't tell you it's wrong. This is the politically correct world that we live in. Everyone's truth is personal to you. So you get to decide based literally on looking inside and what are your feelings about that particular situation. Not even human wisdom or rationalism or any of these others. They're all marked out. The sources of truth for me, and we're told you, is inside you. We look on the inside. Most people in our country here today have been trained and indoctrinated in the idea that truth begins and ends with us. We get to define it. Our truth becomes absolute truth that we find on the inside. We're taught the importance of having a high self-esteem about us by Abraham Maslow, one of the most influential voices of our day, and the encouragement to follow our personal values and personal truth. You know, what does that look like? And I did some research on this, which was kind of fun, and I looked up a couple of quotes from very famous humanists and philosophers of our day that were telling us how to live our lives, telling us, our kids, and for generations this has been going on. The first one is a lady named Gail Sheely, and she wrote a book called Passages. This was a runaway bestseller 30 years ago. She's put out 20 books since then and has sold hundreds of thousands of copies of her books as she goes forward. But let me read this. This is what she's encouraging each person here, and this is encouraged in schools in different places. You're moving away from institutional claims and other people's agenda, away from external validation and accreditations in search of inner validations. If I feel that I'm doing good, then I validate myself. If I feel I'm okay, I'm okay. So the inner validations, you're moving out of social roles into self, whatever counterfeit safety we hold in the we hold from over investment in people. In other words, what other people think of us and institutions. You got to give it up. Don't care what anyone else thinks about you. Live it out inside yourself. You're the one. The inner custodian, the conscience, must be unseated. Get rid of your conscience. Don't let it dictate to you. It must be unseated from the controls. No foreign external power can direct our journey. From now on, it's for each of us to find a course that is most valued by our reckoning. That's scary. But this is kind of a removed thing. Obviously, probably most people here never read her books or anything else. But we have a modern heroine that speaks the same truth and is idolized by millions of people. It comes out of the movie Frozen. Well, I mean, I'm talking high literature here. This is Elsa in the Disney movie Frozen, and many of you have probably bought dolls for your Elsa dolls, and all those other things. They're just part of what we do. Here's Elsa's philosophy. It's time to see what I can do, to test the limits and break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free. That's the chant of our age. In those days, Israel had no king. We had no absolutes. We had nothing else. and everyone does what it seems right in their own eyes. That's where we are now, sadly, and that's why we're having this talk. And I'm sure that I'm encouraging people to realize there are absolute truths. There is truth that's there. Why? Why would people reject these truths? Why would we move from a fixed truth? Because a fixed truth makes us accountable. If I love God, then I'm controlled by God. If I accept His truth, that truth controls me. Love always requires us to give up control. When you say you love someone in this age where personal autonomy is so important, you're actually giving over control, a part of your life, to that person. Their wishes become your commands. Their desires become what you should do. We had a conference on marriage yesterday. The secret of a good marriage is 2 words. It really is. You know what they are. Yes, dear. Yes, if it's your desire, I'm going to do it. So if we love, we obey commandments. If we claim to love someone, if we claim to love God, we have to do what He says. We have to accept His truth. We have to build our life on His truth. We don't say, yes, dear. We say, yes, Lord. And we do exactly what He asks us to do. It costs us our freedom. We follow what we love. If we love God, we follow His truth. If we love ourselves more, we follow our truth. We do what we want to do inside of life. That's why people push away from God. Divine revelation, conscience, hard-written words such as in the Bible. We push away from that so we can follow our feelings and our desires. See, there's the battle of our age. That becomes our truth if we're not tuned into God. So my encouragement is really simple. Have faith in the facts. If you don't have an adequate number and quantity of facts that you believe are true, that you can follow, certifying that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and you don't believe enough facts to prove that the Bible is God's inspired word, well, let's talk. Pick up stuff. Let's get together. Let's look for truth. Because Jesus is the truth. And it's never going to change. We can't stand before God and say, I didn't know. No, we know. He is truth that came to earth and walked among us. The handout in the back asks questions for proof of the Bible. We have divine prophecy fulfilled around us today. We just had a Revelation class. Even as we speak, the Bible is coming alive. Accurate history, validated by archaeology, lives changed by those who follow it. The Bible affirms propositionally the reality of our world and the nature of human beings, and it reveals the nature of God. Truth is here. Jesus said to follow Him, not our feelings. If somewhere along the road of life you were indoctrinated or taught that to follow your feelings, to let them be your facts, come back. Come back. Let us help. Don't be deceived. Please don't be deceived as you go forward. Lastly, here we come. Enter through the narrow gate. Don't follow the false philosophies. Again, those statistics, get on the other side of them. Have a biblical worldview. Know that absolute truth exists in the Bible. I'm going to go to the last verse because it's one of those verses that kind of appropriate to end on with a message like this, because it describes a situation in the Bible that Jesus talked about on the Sermon on the Mount. He said that at the end of time, our time here, the end of the earth, that everyone's going to stand before God. We are. No matter what path we took, we will all stand before Jesus Christ. And he gives a severe, strong warning. He says, not everyone who calls out, Lord, Lord, not everyone who has a Christian t-shirt or a bumper sticker will enter the kingdom of heaven. Only those who actually do the will of the Father, who follow the facts. He said on Judgment Day, people will say, hey, Lord, Lord, I look at all the works. I prophesied. I cast out demons. Oh, my goodness, I did miracles in your name. But he'll say, I never knew you. But look at the criteria as he goes on. He says, get away from me if you break God's laws. If you listen to my teaching and follow, that's a wise person. We build our house on a solid rock. When life comes at us, if we take God's truth and apply it, our life will stand. If we choose not to, it won't. Now, that's a severe warning. And honestly, God wanted it to be a severe warning. He's giving each person here a choice between life and death. I remember when that was revealed to me, and I looked at my life, and I looked at his truth, and man, I'm in deep kimchi. I'm going down hard. So I don't know where you are, but if we can help you in your search for truth, let us know. Join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for divine revealed truth. Truth that is certain, truth that is absolute. Thank you for sending Jesus Christ. If there was any confusion, truth walked among us. Truth spoke to us. Truth demonstrated by his life that he was the way and the truth. So thank you, Lord, that's available to us. For each person here, thank you that you're revealing yourself to them, to me, to each person, and revealing your truth that we might follow you. Thanks for that in Christ's name. Amen.